Greetings, mortals! Today we'll do something cozy for the fall months and return to the character guessing game, where my friend Quillatra gives me the description of some famous characters and I have to draw them. And guess who the frick that might be? Speaking of Quillatra, not sure where she...
I'm here, and I'm not alone. I bring with me an entire entourage of ghosts.
What?
It's Halloween. You're drawing ghosts.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, I have for you the horrible ghost of a man. He is pearly white and translucent. He has a gaunt face and blank staring eyes and is covered in silver bloodstains.
Ooh, that's cool. Probably not for him or the guy that he murdered, but I think it's cool. That's a cool design choice. Where's that from? He kind of seems somewhat familiar to me.
I guess it's a very classic description, like pearly white, translucent, and staring eyes.
Can you tell me if I know that one?
Yeah, you know that one. I've read it.
I feel like the last part is the most important one, because everything else is just, it's a ghost. That's like the only thing that gives us some type of story. Either the guy was stabbed, or he stabbed. Or he spilled mercury over himself and someone can't identify it, right?
Yeah.
Sounds
maybe.
Unhealthy. Well, what have I read with ghosts in it?
Yeah, sounds like a good idea thinking about what you've read with ghosts in it when we are doing a ghost video.
I'm excellently prepared. I'm looking at the bookshelves. Someone lead to like the Bloody Baron, I think he's called, from Harry Potter.
I think that's correct, yeah. He is called that.
He wouldn't be the most iconic ghost to take from that book, and he always complained to me about having problems getting the gender equality somewhat similar. I feel like it would be weird to go with that one from the Harry Potter books and not like the Ravenclaw woman, I don't know.
I think she's called the Grey Lady.
But maybe she isn't described very much. I feel like it's probably just grasping at straws because I can't think of any other book with ghosts in it right now. I will stay with that one for a first guess.
Okay.
Hi, hello, Drawing Nightshade here. As you can see, I'm already at the line art stage. And to be honest, my general guess didn't really change while drawing. Like I said, I haven't read that many books with ghosts, or at least I don't remember the ghosts if I did read many of them. And, you know, he's bloody, that's basically the only thing to go off of, and Bloody Baron checks out. I haven't read the Harry Potter books in a while, cause, well, obvious reasons. Yeah, to the actual drawing, there were absolutely no description about his clothing or what he's wearing and stuff like that, so I just winged it and drew something that I wanted to draw. A weird, somewhat half fluffy cape. A little bit damaged because I went with the guy died on the battlefield angle, which I think works quite nice. Oh yeah, you can now see me struggle with getting the silver right. At first I wanted to go for actual silver metal style, solid silver metal that's like shiny and stuff, but I couldn't really get it to work that well. So don't get used to that look, I don't like it, it just looks stripy. Instead I then went for liquid silver metal, which, I mean, silver metal is basically every other metal that's grey, what they be doing in the D block. But I'm a lot happier how it looks liquid, even though it shouldn't be liquid at room temperature. But I digress. The background is a battlefield. Like I said, I went for the died in battle route. That's why he is also kind of very damaged, so a lot of the blood is probably his. And I went somewhat monochrome and in reddish colors, since pearls are somewhat beige white, and since he's pearl white, he has some yellowish tones to him, even if it's just very faint. And I thought red looked good with it. Also, red is very basic battle color. But that's it. Not really that much else to add. Let's see what Quillatra has to say.
Oh wow, that guy doesn't look happy.
He's covered in blood. Why should he be happy?
That's very fair and also very accurate.
Okay, so I haven't really changed my guess. I'm still not super convinced that it's the Bloody Baron, but I don't really have a better idea for a bloody ghost.
And you're absolutely right. This is the Bloody Baron from Harry Potter.
Nice, nice.
You might want to know that I only took into account what is said about him in the first 2 books. Because honestly, I didn't want to reread 7 books to find his descriptions.
That is very fair.
And he's well described in the first 2.
Guess the whole battlefield setting is kinda coincidental.
Yeah, I mean, the Bloody Baron has this entire story going on of murdering Ravenclaw's daughter and then killing himself.
Kind of Romeo and Juliet if, there was a little bit more murder.
Yeah, kinda, only less romantic, at least from her part.
Yeah, let's move on.
Next up I have for you the fair and majestical ghost of a man. He is also portentous and frowning sorrowfully. He is very pale and has a sable silver beard. He is in steel armor from head to foot, but with the beaver up, and he has a truncheon. Medieval kind of truncheon, I should add.
What is it?
Like a staff you have, and a medieval truncheon is like this pretty thing you have to signify that you have authority over an army.
Oh,
and
okay.
in modern times it's just a thing policemen have.
It seems like a guy who maybe died on the battlefield. I love the word beaver.
Yeah, I should add that when I looked this description up, I didn't know that a beaver is a piece of armor. I just knew the animal beaver, so as you can imagine, I was quite confused. I was like, what does he have a beaver around his neck?
He died in the Great Beaver War. He fought against the ravenous beavers that were tearing down all the forests around his country. So he went to war against them and he killed the king beaver and then he wore him on his head as a trophy.
Yeah, please don't interpret it like that. It's a piece of armor, okay?
Then he died because the king beaver wasn't actually dead and then he stabbed him.
Nigel, please, just guess at the droids.
Guess, have I read it?
No, I don't think so, at least.
Should I know it?
You've probably heard of him, but you aren't too familiar.
I will stick with the story I've just came up with. It's a guy that died on the battlefield, potentially against the beavers.
No!
Yes. Welcome back to drawing mode. You see, the downside of drawing all those ghosties, not in a chronological order that I discussed them in the video, is that I kind of already went for the died on the battlefield angle, so couldn't do that anymore, so sorry past me, but you sound like a fool now. Anyways, you can see me struggle with armor in the background. It's a given for this type of videos. Don't worry about it, it will look more fine than last time. The angle I went now instead with is, since he doesn't really look like a ghost, but just like some guy, it could be an interesting angle to go with. A piece of armor that's presented in a museum or something. We will get to that more in depth once we get to the background, because yes, I made backgrounds for all of the pieces, I just felt like it. Totally not making myself a lot more work than necessary, but I'm the only one who has to suffer because of that, so it's fine. For the color scheme, I was extremely unsure. We have no real information about color. We know silver sable beard, which is black and silver, and an animal, a very cute animal. You should look it up if you don't know what a sable is. But outside of that, there wasn't a lot of color information, so in a moment, it's kind of iron yellowish tinted. Iron in solution is yellow, so it's yellowish tinted. And a little bit of blue, but I won't commit to it that heavily. Yeah, you can see me now. I'm kind of switching gears to a more violet, purplish blue color. Also, I'm very sorry that the emblem on his cape kind of looks like a fish. That's very important in Christianity. That was not what I was going for. I wanted to make the same symbol that is on his wood truncheon thingy in the middle. Yeah, that was not intentional. It shouldn't be any real-life symbol with no connotation whatsoever. Just accept it as a weird little square. You can see me working on the background. I'm extremely happy how the background turned out for this piece. The guy himself is just a dude in armor. He doesn't really look like a ghost. But his background is great. And I went slightly overboard with framing him, because I thought it would be really cool if you put a statue in a museum and then you frame that statue with a picture frame, even though it's not a picture. I don't know, just thought it would be cool. Then I made everything violet and purple just because those colors weren't taken by the other ghost, and so he isn't stepping on anybody's toes. And again, very monochromatic background going on. That's that. That's the guy. I have no idea who he is. Don't ask me.
Let's see how that guy with a beaver that's not an animal looks like.
He's very purple.
And he's definitely frowning and majestic and has his beard. I like the picture. Wouldn't want to meet him in a dark room, though.
I mean, you won't meet him in a dark room, because I kind of placed him in a museum, with the little plaque at the bottom and the little framing and stuff.
Oh, that's great. It's actually hilarious and it's great.
Don't know how accurate it is, though, because I have no idea who that is.
Okay, I'll need to tell you then. This actually is the ghost of Hamlet's father from Shakespeare's play Hamlet.
Right, there's a ghost in there. Damn. I will have to look up how some plays have portrayed him, because I don't think they would have done it that extra, because I would feel sorry for the actor if he had to wear so much armor all the time.
What was that, 40 kilograms?
Oh no. I would have hoped that they'd done it out of a fake material, maybe a lighter metal like aluminium or something.
That would be very possible.
I've displayed constraint. There's no beaver in that image. I just want to point that out.
I'm very proud of you.
Thank you.
Thank God my stupid mistake didn't end up in Hamlet's father having a pet beaver.
It would have made for a better story.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
I have for you the skeleton of a man emitting a ghastly green light. He has long matted grey locks and eyes as red as burning coals. He has a wrinkled toothless mouth, is clothed in antique garments, and his wrists and ankles are in chains.
Sorry, can we go back for a second? So we have a skeleton. And okay, it has hair, that happens. I think we have found mummies still have hair. You probably know that better than me.
Yeah. There exist fun pictures of skeletons that still have hair and therefore count as mummies.
But how has he a wrinkled mouth?
I asked myself that question too. I theorized that maybe the green light he is emitting gives him some kind of shape like he was shaped in life. But I don't know. It's up to you to interpret this. Someone wrote it that way. I also absolutely expect you to be anatomically correct about it being the skeleton of a man specifically.
No, don't hit me with biology.
Yes, I do.
We had to learn that. It's so annoying, because in the end it's not really that precise. Yeah, we could try to guess with the bones, but it's a lot more fun to guess with the stuff we find with the skeleton, and a lot more accurate.
You still have to draw it?
Great. Lucky me. And wrists and ankles and chains, so it could sound like either the guy died in prison, or it could be the guy from A Christmas Carol, but I think he was described differently than that. He wasn't a skeleton, I think he was actually quite just a guy in chains. So I don't think it's Marley. So I don't think it's him. I'm not sure if I know him. Do I know him?
Yeah, you know him, actually. You've read that.
So it's also not A Christmas Carol, because I haven't read that one. Yeah, I know. Bad to admit that, but I have seen
Yeah,
movies.
you should really read that.
I'm sorry. I can't really remember books with ghosts in them. Wait a second. Does Macbeth have ghosts? Or doesn't it count because it's a play?
Nope, plays count.
Okay.
But I won't tell you if Macbeth has ghosts.
Definitely not this type of ghost. That I can tell you. So bad that I've actually read it and I just have no idea. Because it also sounds somewhat familiar, but it's also kind of cliche. We will guess later. It's a future me problem. I will give it up.
Okay, so for now, draw a male skeleton with a wrinkled mouth.
Alright, first things first. Please don't count the bones. Don't count the number of ribs or anything else. I didn't really pay attention if it's the correct number. I just drew a skeleton, okay? It's not an anatomy class. I also didn't really pay attention if it's a male skeleton, because I don't really vibe with that part of archaeology. It's such an ideal case with so many exceptions, and that annoys me. Anyways, to the actual drawing, again, we have no context to what clothes he is wearing. It's just old, antique, it's old clothes. I put him in some trousers with suspenders, and then didn't give him a shirt, because I drew the ribs not for nothing. I also very much committed to the prisoner angle, which meant I had to draw a hell of a lot of chains, because I, for some reason, didn't simplify them. Or had a brush for that. Some people have to do the brushes for that. Not me. I actually had to do homework on that day. I crunched it out in one day, and for some reason I made myself more work by drawing chains. Whatever. Poor life choices were made in the process of this drawing. But yeah, who could it be? I wish I knew. For one moment, I thought Quilatra may have given herself away by the green light could be shaping how the guy looked in life. And that kind of reminded me of the Lord of the Rings movies. I don't know if it's a extended version scene or if it's in the normal version as well. But they're like those skeleton army that Aragorn gets. And they are like, as green light surrounding them, ghosts. And there are like a lot of skeletons around where they were found. So I thought that could be it. But at the same time, also my picture absolutely doesn't go with that idea. But it was an idea I had. But I didn't read that book. I didn't read A Lord of the Rings. I never had the time for it. And Quillatros said I read it, so that idea went out of the window. Also, I'm not sure if it sounds like Tolkien, but then again, who am I to judge what sounds like Tolkien if I haven't read The Lord of the Rings? I read The Hobbit, but that was ages ago. Yeah, the eyes are... I didn't really know what to do, so right now they don't look that great, but I will come back to them. The grey hair are just not very well kept. Guy is in prison, why would they be? I made the background earlier this time, just so I could get a better feeling for the colors of the skeleton. I also redid the eyes, because I wasn't happy with them. Now they look a lot more like Cole's, because they're in like grey surroundings. They're more orange than red, but I'm sorry, Cole is orange when it burns and not red. The author can pick up that argument with the fact that things just burn in different colors depending on how hot they are, and Cole is just orange colored hot. Outside of that, the chains and everything, like the silver and stuff, is slightly green tinted, because our guy is Christmas colored. He's green and red. What can I say? Looking forward to the winter season. I also used the green light as little stitches or strings to keep his joints attached to each other, because the skeleton would be falling apart without all of the extra fleshy bits. So I thought it would be a cool idea. Does it slightly look Saddest Hawkhunt animatic inspired? Maybe. But there are worse things to be inspired by.
Okay, you know what? I don't even care how many bones this guy ended up having, because I'm so thrilled about being able to reveal who this is.
Yes, please tell me. I was so lost.
I guess I need to apologize to you because I said that you read that book. I'm not so sure anymore.
Okay.
I think you didn't read it. You could still have guessed it though, because this is the Canterville Ghost from Oscar Wilde.
Oh, the skeleton!
Yes!
Huh?
See, that's the reaction I hoped for. Nightshade is making silly sounds.
Okay, I need to read that book now. I had a very different picture of it. It's weird because I thought that I saw a TV adaptation once, ages ago, like a movie of it. Because it matched up with the story you told me, with like the family moving in and all those shenanigans. And I don't remember a skeleton. So I guess either the adaptation was extremely bad, or it was actually adapting a completely different book and I was just mixing things up.
I would imagine having a skeleton moving about on screen is rather hard to do, so maybe they just changed that.
Of course they changed the look of people in Oscar Wilde's books and adaptations. You know, it's kind of part of the course nowadays.
Oh no, not again.
Yeah, so I guess the prisoner angle is also wrong.
The aspect of the ghost being chained to the wall is not accurate, I guess, but this vibe of the ghost being a prisoner of his own ghost existence and with this old building, that's very accurate. I feel like the vibe fits.
Thank you.
You've done great.
Aww.
And of course, I can explain to you now why the clothing is described in some little detail. Because the Canterville Ghost actually wears costumes, like dresses up differently for every scene. And I didn't want to give you one specific costume because they are very different vibes. And on the other hand, you could do no wrong because this guy owns so many clothes.
Of course he does.
Very Oscar Wilde of him.
Very aesthetic.
This is a tall phantom, stately and solemn. It seems to scatter gloom and mystery. It is draped in a dusty, deep black shroud that conceals its head, face and form, making it appear like a heap of black. And the only thing visible from it is one outstretched spectral hand.
Well, that one is very obviously the ghost of Christmas Future. Or yet to come. What is it called? It's like one of the two.
Do you think I've read that book in English?
Like...
I mean, I should probably.
That's that one. That description is too iconic. Oh, I'm making a fool of myself, but I'm pretty sure. I will log in. Things haven't changed. I'm still very confident that it's the ghost of Christmas yet to come. I still haven't looked up if it's Christmas Future or Christmas yet to come. Anyways, clothing description, just a very long black cape coat thingy. I made it kind of like spill out at the bottom to give a little bit of the seems to scatter gloom and misery vibe, because how do you depict that in a design? And yeah, I also made the ghost pointing and stuff and positioned them in a graveyard because, like I said, I was very confident that it's the one of the Christmas Carol and that one is in a graveyard, so spoilers for that book, but I think it's old enough to do spoilers. Also, I noticed, now that I'm looking back on it, that you could maybe interpret the thing that it's wearing as like slightly hijab inspired. Sorry if I butchered the pronunciation. It's not. I noticed a little too late that it could look like that, so it probably doesn't look in the slightest bit accurate. So yeah, sorry about that if it looks like just a bad drawing of a hijab. Outside of that, I made the hand blue because it was spectral and blue felt spectral to me. There's really no other reason for that. I just wanted to do something unique because the rest of the design is just very how everyone else draws the ghost as well. And the background is yellow because that's somewhat opposite to blue on the color wheel. Not quite, but almost.
I already feel very Halloween-y though.
The last ghost is actually a Christmassy ghost because I will die on this hill.
Oh, so we are ruining the Halloween mood now and transitioning into Christmas season?
Yes, like every supermarket already is doing.
Good, good. We are gonna make so much money.
Here we go.
Wow. I really love the blue outlines of this one. It's pitch black, but it also glows.
If you make something actually black, you lose all your outlines. But I put a lot of work into make the cloth on top of each other and stuff like that, and I didn't want to lose all that work by making the outline just a little bit darker than the filled-in color. So why not make the outline brighter, I suppose?
Absolutely. It looks great, very otherworldly, and that's exactly what it should look like, because of course you're absolutely right. This is the third ghost from Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol.
You can see how convinced I was because they're in a graveyard, because I think that was where they were going.
Absolutely. So you get 100 out of 100 points for this one. Even the background is fitting.
Are those enough ghosts now?
Yes, I think those are enough. I'm gonna vanish back into the abyss now.
Yeah. Anyways, I hope you all have a great Halloween, everyone. See ya.